everybody, welcome back. It's me, Alura, and this video is going to be about wise ones. This spring really inspired me to talk about this subject because it reminds me of the gardens within those sub-realms. And I also had someone that I had worked with previously that mentioned, the very different traits that are up online about the wise ones. And, I've read them myself before, and, they're very negative traits, and it's a total misconception about the traits of the wise ones, really, because they're not really anything like it that's described online. So I thought I would do this video in light of spring because it's so beautiful. And I know winter had everybody feeling down and just wanting to stay inside and not do much of anything. And now that spring is coming, the rebirth of all of the energy within the consciousness of the trees and the grass and the blooming flowers, it just gives this light air of positive vibe to everyone. And the wise ones are responsible for that. So the wise ones are a group of angels that exist between third and fourth dimension in that subplane. And they were given that realm to rule and look after, as well as the beings that exist there. And it has many different, sections within it. They're just all different gardens, etheric gardens connected with one another. And the angels always have a principality or a dominion to care for and look after. And fairies are really just little tiny angels. That's all they really are. But the difference is the etheric pattern in the wings. And, they describe angels as having wings, like big white bird-like wings, and they're nothing like that. The only reason why they say that is because the pattern in the energy, you can see like little feather strokes in the energy that gives it that appearance that it's bird-like. But with the fairies and sprites and such, they have like a butterfly-like shape to it. So they're just real small little creatures, little beings, and they could be anywhere from about 2 inches to about 2 foot tall, sometimes even up to 5 foot tall, really. And they exist within that realm, and the angels will look after them. And these angels are not just any ordinary angel. They're involved with magical rites. And Uriel has trained and taught them all through soul conditioning in order to be in charge of those realms. So online, they have the wise ones labeled as being very moody and aloof and, kind of like a darker element to them. And that's not true. I've been a wise one. I've known many other spirits that have also taken that role at one point or another in their spiritual journey. We've had a lot of clients that came to us that have turned out to be wise ones in their soul type readings, and then they go online and they look up these traits and they see this very negative, traits listed there, and they're like, no, that's not me. And so they don't accept it and they keep seeking, but to no avail. So true wise ones aren't dark and moody and aloof. They're actually very friendly people. They're so friendly and want to be accepted so bad because they're used to showing so much love to the beings in their realm that they expect to see that here. It's almost like a regular angel. They want to be loved. They want to be accepted. They don't take rejection very well. And they'll go to the extent of actually trying to make somebody like them so much they'll do anything. Some people would even say they're butt kissers, but that's not true. They're just really trying to be of service to others and show them that, hey, there is kindness in this world and it's through me and I'm trying to help you. That's their whole entire approach. And they take it very hard when people don't, involve themselves with them, when they don't take to that approach. They have like a very emotional roller coaster for feelings. They can get really, really happy and energetic, or they could just feel really down and tired. And that's usually basically all. They don't really experience anger. It's mainly just hurt and happiness that they kind of balance their lives between. And they'll have attractions towards magic. You'll see them actually study some of the darker elements of magic because they know that there's some truth in that magical element, but it's not because they themselves are dark. It's because they want to have that all-knowing wisdom. So they look everywhere. They're the truth seekers. They look into everything for truth, even both sides of the duality. But they themselves are very vibrant and positive, loving and kind. So the wise ones, when in human form, will be the most nicest people, always trying to be the happy ones, the peacekeepers in the family. If there's arguments, they're always trying to break the arguments up. They're trying to get everybody to get along. They try to be very intelligent in their approach. They'll approach people with words of wisdom rather than accusations. For an example, if somebody was sitting there arguing with them, they would turn around and say, but you know how I feel is that I see it like this. I respect your opinion, but I see it like this. And that's how they go about communicating with people, because they're the peacekeepers. They don't like any kind of conflict or arguments. Actually, when they know there's going to be conflict, that's when they're the most nervous in their lives. So wise ones have a wonderful ability to heal. A lot of them are majorly intuitive. Not all of them will have all of the many spiritual abilities, because in that realm they're mainly working with energy. They're energy workers. So that intuitiveness and working with energy will be the main qualities of the wise ones when they're here on Earth. But they have this fascination with almost every type of knowledge and wisdom that you can even think of. They will study history, they'll study science, they'll study religion, they'll study the stars. They'll even try different things out in life. So that's another thing about wise ones, is like regular angels, they'll have a hard time in their life where, they go through the outcast phase and they feel pretty down about themselves and maybe make some mistakes. But with the wise ones, they will have made a lot of different types of mistakes just to gain that extra wisdom and extra knowledge. And then they'll grow out of that. They'll automatically say, wait a minute, this isn't who I am. And then, become a better person and work that shadow aspect out. But they most definitely do experience a shadow aspect of themselves just to learn. And then they become the most intelligent people later on. They become teachers, spiritual leaders, energy workers, light workers. They can become archaeologists, historians, theologians, metaphysicians, astronomers. Some of them work for NASA. There's all kinds of different job types for wise ones because of that wisdom. So the realm that they live in is between the third and the fourth. It's like that little subplane. And in this realm are all different types of beings. You have the elementals, you have the fae, the sprites, you have the sylphs, the salamanders, and also unicorns, mermaids, mer-angels. There's also a lot of different types of mythical creatures that people have thought of, because actually people don't realize the power of projection of the mind. When you are thinking about something and you start a mass consciousness about it, it can actually take its own form. So for an example, if you were telling the story about the boogeyman, and that person that you told somebody else and passed it down the line, everybody would start to believe in it, and that energy of the fear and the energy of the reverence, for unicorns and such, depending on what energy it is, helps manifest the being, and then that belief in it, that projection of the mind, makes it come to life. So that's what exists in that realm also. So there's many different spiritual beings, and the wise ones are the ones that take care of it. So a lot of them will have had past lives, and as an ancient druid or as a Celt or a Welsh. They'll have all of those different experiences in their past as people that have worked with different forms of magic. They may have even had past lives in Atlantis. I've met a couple that have been in Lemuria, and that's where they originate from. They're not star beings. They could have had their soul start in the stars and be sent down to become a wise one, but a lot of them will have started out in this realm. Their soul was sent there, trained by Uriel, and stayed there to look after everybody. So those are the wise ones, and they're very beautiful beings. They're very intelligent, very loving, and you'll see them, they like a lot of the medieval and Renaissance type of clothing. Some of them even get into the Hindi type dresses, flowy. That's for women, of course. The men are very stylish but laid back at the same time. They will also have an attraction to the medieval patterns, because they will have had a past life in that era and period too. That's another thing. So those are the wise ones. I wish you guys all the very best spring. I hope that you get everything done that you've been hoping to do. I know it's been a little bit hard for a lot of people out there, but you know that you have me if you ever need my help. And don't believe everything that you hear online. A lot of the traits for a lot of different things, they're incorrect and inaccurate. The different starseed traits that I've read online are all based on astrology. And you can't place people's origins by astrology, because astrology has nothing to do with where your soul came from. Those star systems and planets don't even exist near the zodiacs. They're far beyond, believe me. So those traits they correspond with astrology, and people are being misled. You know, a Capricorn or somebody will read something about being a Pleiadian, and they'll see the traits and it sounds just like them, and oh, I must be a Pleiadian, and then they get misled. A lot of the traits will be similar, you know, to certain types, but it really has nothing to do with it. The wise ones was totally misconstrued. So I'm here to help. I'm also setting up my blog with the true starseed traits for everybody if you want to read more and learn more about yourself. But like I said, I wish you the very best spring, and for all you wise ones out there, I hope to get to meet you and confirm whether you are indeed how you feel that you are, because more than likely what you feel will be your truth. So namaste and love and light.